Hey everybody, welcome to take 2 of vlog number 3. I did this once before, too rambly, so we're going to try again. I wanted to point out that I cleaned up in the back and now my vlog space looks kind of nice. Of course, as soon as I get used to it this way, it's going to be changing because our roommate's moving, and both of these things here, there's a little table, a little cupboard, those are both going with her because they're hers. So today's vlog, the beginning of it might be a little bit hard. I am going to be talking about sexuality. Yesterday was National Coming Out Day. I had a lot of friends share their coming out stories or shared for the first time their sexual orientation. And I have yet to do that on my Facebook because I have some family that might not really understand or don't really get the LGBT community at all, and I just wasn't ready to have those discussions with them. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We're also going to talk about crafts and books and podcasts and what I've been doing lately. So strap in and get ready. Hopefully this won't be quite as long and rambly as the one I already shot. We're going to try and keep it a little shorter, a little sweeter. So let's start with National Coming Out Day yesterday. I had quite a few friends who it ends up align the same way as me, and it's been really hard for me to see them be able to do this and kind of think to myself that I can't. I have some friends and family, well, I have some friends who are great. I have some family who don't understand. I also have some friends who probably don't understand my sexual orientation because, so okay, well, let's start by talking about what I am on this like sexual orientation scale. So I am, first of all, I'm monogamous. I don't think I could handle polyamorous relationships personally. I think that they're wonderful if that's the way that you want to live your life. For me, I have issues with jealousy, and I know I have issues with jealousy, and that's me, and I can't do anything about that right now. I have mental health issues that I am working through at the moment that affect my life day to day. And so I'm definitely monogamous, and I don't really see that changing since I'm emotionally satisfied in my relationship. And that's kind of the important part. And I'm sexually satisfied in my relationship without really getting into any details because that's inappropriate, especially because I think my mom watches this. I'm not going to get into any details about that, but I am satisfied in my relationship. And so right now, polyamory isn't something that either of us want or need. But I have a lot of friends who are polyamorous, and I think that's great. I'm monogamous. So the second thing that I identify as is demisexual. People who are demisexual mean that they can't, it's not that they can't, but they would prefer to not enter in a sexual physical relationship without knowing the person and having a connection. That is a big deal for me. I have a lot of body image issues. I have a lot of mental health issues. Maybe not a lot of mental health issues, but I do have mental health issues. And I don't want to be connected to somebody in that intimate way unless I know them really well. Which hasn't been an issue for 13 years because I've been with my husband for almost that long. So monogamous, demisexual. Here's the one that some of you don't know already, and a lot of you do. I am bisexual. Just because I am in a monogamous heterosexual relationship does not mean that my attraction stops at my husband. A friend of mine said it perfectly on her Facebook today. She said, attraction does not equal action. I'm not going to sleep around because I am attracted to more than one gender. I'm not going to go find a girlfriend. I don't want that. I am happy with my husband. That doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to girls. The other thing I can say firmly is I am attracted to men. I am attracted to women. And if you present yourself as male, if you present yourself as female, then you probably fall under my attraction. But if you are purposefully agender or you don't present yourself as male or female, if it's like somewhere in between, I would say, I'm not going to say I'm not attracted to people like that. I just haven't found somebody who I find physically, sexually attractive in that way. So that's all there is to it with that. I like my girls to be girly. I like my guys to be guys. I like a beard, that sort of thing. So that's my sex. Oh gosh, I'm stuttering. I'm having trouble talking about this. This is not the type of thing that I think I am particularly comfortable talking about, like in vlog form like this, but I wanted to talk about it because it's important to talk about it, because bi erasure is kind of a big thing, and I think a lot of people don't believe me when I say I'm bisexual because I've been in a happy monogamous relationship for so long, and a monogamous heterosexual relationship for so long. I know a lot of people that are just like me that are bisexual but in happy monogamous heterosexual or homosexual relationships. Just because you're in a monogamous relationship doesn't mean you are either heterosexual or homosexual. Your attraction doesn't stop at who you're with. Your actions and your emotions and your intimacy might, but your attraction does not. And that's what sexuality is. It's your sexual attraction. So we've gotten through that part, and let's move on to like the yay happy fun stuff of, less awkward stuff of my crafting. So what I've been working on right now, I've been working on, I have a commission, and I have 2 products I'm going to be putting up on my Etsy or selling at craft shows. I have a craft show on November 11th at Pagan Pathways Temple, and I'm going to be signing up for another craft show. I think it's going to be the 28th and 29th in Clarkston, and I have another one I want to sign up for once I've gotten some more money in the bank. That's Black Friday weekend. It's in Sterling Heights. So those are my craft show things. And right now I'm working on this one. I'm really happy with. I think it turned out really good. I saw this yarn on the ball and I was like, this will make a really good scarf, a really good cowl or infinity scarf or something. So I'm going to make an infinity scarf out of it. It's quite long already, but it needs to be a bit longer. You can tell this is a really soft, almost like sticky yarn, and you can tell that it stretches a lot differently. It's kind of dipped in a little bit here. I really like it. I think it's turning out great. I have a friend who I think might want to try and buy it before it even makes it to a craft show. So there's that. And you have to be careful when you're using this yarn though, because this part here, this really, really soft part. So if you pick up some of this, this is the Bernat Home Bundle. And when you pick up this yarn, you'll feel it and be like, oh, that's so soft, but it sticks together really badly, and it's very easy to accidentally do a knit 2 together on this. I did it so many times, had to tink back, and tinking on it's really hard. So when you get to that section of yarn, I'm on it right now actually, you need to pay very close attention to it. Other than that though, great yarn. This is like a Chanel, not a Chanel, yeah, not Chanel, that's a product, that's a brand, a chenille yarn. Like it's that really soft texture. And then this is like a standard acrylic. These are, I would say these are probably heavy worsted to bulky. And this is like your if you've ever knit with homespun, it's just like homespun. So really enjoying this project. This is my sit and watch Outlander and knit project right now, because I don't have to really pay that close attention to it. I can just watch my show and be done. My next knitting project is this cowl. I'm using one of these. This is another Bernat, I think. I forget which one it is. It's like cake or something. I lost the ball band. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Ball band is gone. And you can kind of see I'm going to be doing a textured cowl. So right now I'm on the knitted, just the stockinette, and then I'm going to do a garter ridge. Like I'm going to do 5 rows of garter, and then I'm going to do 5 rows of knitting and 5 rows of garter. So it's kind of got a scrunched up look, and it's going to be a cowl. So that's that. I bought 2 balls of this, not this color. I bought this color, I bought another, and I think I'm going to get 2 cowls out of a ball. So I'm struggling with what to price it at though, because I got the yarn for really inexpensive. It's a lot of time, but it's time I'm just sitting there watching TV and knitting. And so like, what are you going to do? You know, you don't want to overprice, but you don't want to underprice, because that can be just as damaging, and people might look at it and be like, So I'm gonna have a little sippy sippy. Copied off a Graveyard Girl on accident because I've been watching her constantly. She's so uplifting. So if you're big on YouTube, Graveyard Girl, the E is a 3. She's fantastic. She's a really well-known YouTuber, but she always does like sippy sippy, and then she drinks it and goes ah. I've been watching her so much, and so now I'll do that while I'm just sitting around at my house. So I'm not trying to copy off of another YouTuber. That was completely by accident. But this is my blackberry cucumber LaCroix. I got it at Big Lots. Love Big Lots, you guys. Anyway, my final yarn project. I want to talk about this yarn for a minute. This stuff is great. It's got such a good texture. It's the Lion Brand Jeans. And this is kind of what it looks like on the ball. I had to tear back a whole bunch on the project I'm on right now because I figured something out that I was doing wrong. But it's got this really good texture. It is, I'm trying to find it's 100% acrylic, but it's very soft. If you've ever used like the micro spun or whatever, like, oh, I forget what it was called, but there's this micro something acrylic that's really, really nice and soft, and I really like it. So this is what I'm working on right now. It's a corset. It's a crochet corset, and it's got some Tunisian crochet. You put the boning in. So, oops, that's the back. I was looking at the front. So you insert the boning, and then there's these wedged rows that are single, double, triple, and double, triple crochet to make them longer each time. And then you can see the Tunisian crochet is right here at the top. There's another, there's another set of Tunisian crochet, and it's been really fun to do. It's a fun little project. My hook fell out earlier, and so I'm on a triple crochet row right now, and it's really satisfying because it's set up in parts. And so you do a section and you can set it down. It takes me about maybe half an hour to do a section, and there's 11 sections, and then you have to do like the edging and stuff. So it's been really fun. The other thing I've been working on, I spent all day yesterday working on stitch markers. Yesterday was all SSDGM stitch markers, so these are not part of what I did yesterday, but I wanted to show them off because these are my current set of stitch markers. These are my Earth, Air, Fire, Water Wicca stitch markers. Let's see if I can get it to focus on them. Just leave it. So I'm pretty proud of these. These are the ones I've been working with lately. I use them for my gloves, my fingerless mitts. They're probably a little too bulky for socks, but I want to get some small. Actually already got some smaller beads, so I can do some ones that were better for socks. But the star is still going to be nice and big so that you have a nice noticeable beginning of round stitch marker. So my little pentacle, my Wiccan pentacle stitch markers, gotta love them. I'm also having some coffee. I want to show this off too. This is my Lucky Gundam mug. If I'm ever vlogging and you see me drinking from this mug, that means I had a really bad morning. I had a super bad morning. I'm not going to get into it because it's personal, but just a rough morning. And so I decided it's a Lucky Gundam mug day, and after I'm done drinking my coffee, I'm probably going to rinse that sucker out and have some tea as well. So got my decaf, trying to have a chill after the rough morning, and decided to do a vlog. So I think the next thing I want to talk about, I'm kind of flying through it this time because the last one I did was a half an hour, and you guys don't want to watch me ramble for a half an hour. I wanted to keep this one under 20 minutes. So we still have to talk about books and podcasts. I've only got 2 books to talk about right now. First one is Emma. I'm still working on it. I'm enjoying it. The language is definitely different from what I'm used to reading. It takes some getting used to, but I'm really liking it. It's definitely, I think it's helping me because, like I said, when I first talked about this book, I'm kind of obsessed with Clueless, and I love that movie. I love that movie so much. It's the reason I like Paul Rudd so much. Most of my friends know how much I like Paul Rudd, and that movie was just like perfect for me. Growing up, I was just the right age when it came out. And so it was, it's hard to explain, but if you've seen it, you know. And my husband told me that his mom told him that it's basically a retelling of the story of Emma, and I talked about this a little bit in my last vlog, and so I wanted to read it. And so I think it's helping me because I'm reading it and I'm saying, okay, well, that's Ty, and that's this character and that character and blah 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 blah, and I can kind of associate the characters, and I kind of know what's going to happen with some of them, and I think that's why I'm having such an easy time with this book. It's, even though the language is not what I'm used to, they take a very long time to say things that shouldn't take a long time to say, in my opinion. But then again, when reading and talking, reading in conversations and listening to like live music were pretty much all you did, you could take more time. Nowadays, we have so many other things that we want to do. Maybe that's why we speak so much faster, and we speak so much more concisely. And our books are written with a more concise language. That's what I think, at least. But I'm really enjoying Emma. I think it's a really good book. I think if you haven't read it and you like the classics even a little and you like to read, probably pick it up. My library had 6 copies. So I don't think there's any lack of it anywhere. So the next book I'm reading, it's a religious book. It's Be a Goddess, A Guide to Celtic Spells and Wisdom for Self-Healing, Prosperity, and Great Sex. By Francesca de Grandi. So it's got a lot of stuff about like the fairy path in it, and I'm a little leery about doing any practice with the fairy path because the fairy path is a little more chaos than I'm really into. I have friends who are very much into chaos. They can handle the chaos. I like a little more order than that. So I've only read, you can tell kind of where my bookmark is, I've only read the introduction and like the first chapter. I'm not very far because I've been into Emma. I am much further in Emma. I am page 63. And the print is quite small in this one, so I'm not flying through it as fast as I usually fly through books. So, and it's a little dry, and I have to reread some sentences sometimes because it's written in a, you know, language that I'm not. It's written the way it's written in English, obviously, but the way that it's written is a way that I'm not used to. So sometimes I have to reread things. Sometimes I have to reread things. Sometimes let's just. Not with that, Amber. I have to reread sentences sometimes, and that, you know, makes a difference in how quickly I read. So I'm a little bit slow. I do this every time though, where every time I go to the library every single week. I don't finish a book every single week, but I always check a new one out every single week. And I've been watching Outlander, and I've been knitting lately, and it's been really hard to kind of keep up with all the things that I want to do that I got from the library that I'm going to have to recheck out. And Outlander, I've only got so many checkouts, and I'm like, oh, these books, I've got 3 renewals of 3 weeks each, that's 9 weeks. I can finish these 9 books that I got in 9 weeks. No, I can't. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today, after I ranted about my book habits, the last thing I wanted to talk about today was podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of YouTube. That's what I do while I'm sewing. So right now, it's the spoopy time of year, so I've been listening to almost exclusively my true crime, even though true crime isn't really Halloween spoopy because, you know, these are real things that happen to real people, but I've always liked true crime. I've been listening to true crime podcasts now for a while, and my favorite is, said I was working on SSDGM stitch markers. That's Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered. That is the kind of closing tagline for My Favorite Murder, which is my favorite podcast right now. So My Favorite Murder is a true crime podcast. It's 2 women talking about murder. They each tell a story. They have mini episodes where they tell hometown murders from people write them in. They've actually covered my hometown murder, which I will retell in just a moment. Since we're going on 20 minutes, I have time to like give the very short explanation of it. So I grew up in Highland, which is right next to a town called Milford. And so Georgia, one of the co-hosts of My Favorite Murder, her husband is from Milford. And when I was a kid, there were these two girls that got found dead, shoved in a drainage ditch during Milford, like their town, their city, like festival, like Milford Fest or whatever it was called. And I remember that going down when I was a kid. I remember I knew people that were friends with these girls because I lived in an area that I could go, there was a couple of different schools I could go to. And one of them was Highland Elementary and one of them was Spring Mills Elementary. And Spring Mills was more Milford kids and Highlandale was more Highland kids, but I had the choice to go to either. And I went to Spring Mills for my 5th grade year. And then I went to the junior high that I went to was basically an overflow junior high, if I remember correctly, because there were kids from Milford, Highland, White Lake, and Commerce all at that junior high. So I knew people who knew these girls. They were a bit older than me. I was quite a bit younger when this happened. I still lived in Highland though, so this was before we moved out into the boonies. And I'm wondering if maybe part of the reason we moved out to the boonies was because this happened, because I want to say this happened shortly, like maybe 2 years before we moved, and that was kind of when it was decided we were going to move. And I remember hearing about it. I remember the whole town was in panic. It was like, don't let your kids out alone. We don't know who did this. I still think, like, I think they got somebody, but I think there's some question as to whether or not they were the only perpetrators. Like, I had a friend who was invited to go out drinking with these girls that night. Like, craziness. And so anyways, they covered that on My Favorite Murder, and it was really cool to hear them talking about it. I thought this was like this little under the radar thing, but it's not. It's something that they're actually talking about, and I thought that was really interesting, and it made me feel, it made me remember what it was like growing up around that fear, having that happen right around the corner. It's scary. It's scary when kids not far from your age go missing and are found dead right, in your backyard, basically. So, not literally, obviously. But anyway, so My Favorite Murder, fantastic. The other true crime podcasts I listen to, Nothing Rhymes with Murder. I love Nothing Rhymes with Murder because they have this sort of travel twist to it, and I love it because they talk about these really dark, murdery topics, but they also add some levity and humor to it. The reactions to some of the things that these people do, either with how the murderer did things, or the people who got murdered, or people who get out, like, away from the murderers. That's kind of where the humor comes from, is their reactions to these people, or their reactions to, like, just the situation in general. It's just so human, and that makes it very humorous. So Nothing Rhymes with Murder is very much like My Favorite Murder, where it's a bit comedy, very fun, but they have a travel twist. So after they tell these really gruesome, horrible murder stories, they also talk about, like, the country and the beautiful things you can see in that country, especially in the area where the murder happened. So it's like, yeah, horrible things happened here, but look at this beauty. I also listen to How Did This Get Made? You don't need to watch the movies to be entertained by the podcast. I highly suggest it. I also listen to the Cracked podcast. That one's pretty good. That's obviously not part of the whole true crime thing, but neither is How Did This Get Made. But they've done some horror movies. So, the other true crime podcast I listen to is Case File. I really like Case File, and I'm thinking about picking up Last Podcast on the Left. So, I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's not much shorter than my last vlog, but a little more structured, I think, than the one that got deleted. So if you like my content, or if you want to see my crafting tutorials, I was about to say crochet tutorials, but I'll be doing more than crochet eventually. My crafting tutorials, please hit the bell underneath. I think it's somewhere underneath the video. You can hit the bell icon. You'll get a notification every time I upload. And right now the vlogs are once a week. I may do them more often. I am Be My Full Moon on Twitter. I have a Twitter, I don't really use it. On Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Etsy, and my store Envy as well are all Be My Full Moon. And I also am at Aorai, Aourai on Twitter, and that's also my Ravelry name. So friend me on Ravelry. If you're a crafter, follow me on Twitter. I usually just post about my true crime podcasts on there. Follow my Facebook page. You can see my merchandise. I'm working on infinity scarves and stitch markers and all this fun stuff. And follow my Instagram, where pretty much everything goes. I'll post pretty much everything to my Instagram. If it's a handmade item, it goes up there in some ways. So I love you guys. Thanks for watching. And sorry I ramble so much. And I really hope that you're enjoying these as much as I am enjoying making them. Until next time, bye.